Considered one of the great English writers, Joseph Rudyard Kipling was born on December 30, 1865 in Bombay, now called Mumbai, India. His parents, John and Alice, arrived in India as part of the British Empire. For Kipling, India was a wondrous place. However, at the age of 6, Kipling was sent to England to attend school and live with a foster family named the Holloways. These were hard years for Kipling. Mrs. Holloway was a brutal woman who beat and bullied Kipling, who also struggled to fit in at school. Despite this, he had never told his parents in India his struggles. Kipling's solace came in books and stories. With few friends, he devoted himself to reading. By the age of 11, Kipling was on the verge of a nervous breakdown. A visitor to his home saw his condition and immediately contacted his mother, who rushed back to England and rescued her son from the Holloways. Alice took her son on an extended vacation and then placed him in a new school in Devon. There, Kipling flourished and discovered his talent for writing. In 1882, Kipling returned to India. Kipling's experiences during this time formed the backbone for a series of stories he began to write and publish. They were eventually assembled into a collection of 40 short stories called The Plain Tales from the Hills, which gained wide popularity in England. In 1889, Kipling returned to London and became more popular. Kipling published a second collection of short stories and poems, which made him more recognized as a writer. Kipling met Carrie Ballister through his friend. The two eventually got married in England but stayed in America. Kipling continues to flourish. His work during this time included The Jungle Book in 1894, The Nawalaka, A Story of West and East in 1892, and The Second Jungle Book in 1895, among others. Kipling was delighted to be around children, a characteristic that was apparent in his writing. His tales enchanted girls and boys all over the world. One of the most famous poems written by Rudyard Kipling is entitled If, published in 1910. Kipling dedicated this poem to his own son. This poem was written during the Victorian period, which is a time of war and battles. Thus, British people during this period take pride and importance on moral integrity, courage, and humility. Sadly, Kipling's son, John, died in World War I at the age of 18. Despite the grief, Kipling continued to write for the next 2 decades and was the recipient of the 1907 Nobel Prize in Literature. Over his last few years, Kipling suffered from a painful ulcer that eventually took his life on January 18, 1936.